At my younger brother's engagement party, I experienced a level of humiliation that forced me to confront not only my family's perception of me, but also my own self-worth. Seated next to the wedding gift area, separated from the rest of the guests, my family and I were treated as if we were mere staff members. When I questioned this disrespectful arrangement, my parents and the bride's father coldly informed me that my presence in the main banquet hall would embarrass them, especially since the guests that day were all successful individuals. In that moment, I felt a surge of anger mixed with betrayal. I picked up my phone and called the chief operating officer of my company, demanding the cancellation of a $72 million contract we were about to sign with the bride's family business. Just like that, a simple family gathering turned into a battlefield of pride and dignity. Then, propelled by a mix of defiance and clarity, I stepped into the center of the party and revealed everything. Was I wrong for standing up and exposing the truth at my brother's engagement party? Let's delve into this unfolding drama and share your thoughts. Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Thompson. I am 34 years old and the CEO of TechFlow Solutions, a rapidly growing supply chain technology company based in Boston. I live with my wife, Sarah, a brilliant surgeon whose unwavering support has been my anchor, and our 6-year-old son, Daniel, a curious little boy with striking blue eyes, always exploring the world with endless questions about how everything works. To the outside world, we may appear to be the quintessential happy family, but beneath that facade lies a deep, unhealed wound that resurfaces every time I witness families reuniting. 3 months ago, during what should have been a joyous occasion, I severed ties with my family at my younger brother's engagement party. To fully understand the gravity of this moment, let me take you back to when I first received the invitation 4 months prior. I remember that evening clearly when I watched the game between the Patriots and the Chiefs in the entertainment room at my house in the suburbs of Boston. Right then, my phone notified me of a call from Ryan, my younger brother. After a few seconds of hesitation, I picked up. Right after that, with an unusually excited voice, Ryan said, "Marcus, I'm throwing an engagement party next month. I'm calling to invite you and your family." After hearing that, I felt a chill run down my spine. In a voice trying to stay calm, I asked when and where. Immediately, Ryan responded excitedly, "The 15th of next month at the Ocean View Resort. I'll text you the location and time. Ensure you're there on time." After a short pause, still trying to keep my voice calm, I replied, "I'll arrange it." After that, I said goodbye to Ryan and hung up because there wasn't anything else to say. When the call ended, I put the phone down inside. The truth is, I don't want to show up at family parties because I'm always looked down on at those events. After Daniel went to bed that night, I told Sarah the whole phone call. She sat beside me, listened without interrupting, and handed me a glass of wine as I told her everything. After hearing the whole story in a gentle but firm voice, Sarah looked me straight and said, "You should go. Ryan is your brother after all. If you don't show up, they'll have another reason to insult you." After hearing that, I swallowed hard, feeling emotion rising. Looking into Sarah's sincere eyes, I knew she was right. In a hoarse voice, I replied, "I'll think about it." Right after that, with a soft smile, Sarah squeezed my hand and whispered, "Sometimes we need to face the past to move forward truly." 1 month later, Ryan's engagement party took place. That day, I wore a Tom Ford suit. Sarah looked stunning in a turquoise Vera Wang dress. Daniel had personally chosen a gray minisuit for himself. When I saw Daniel with loving eyes, I knelt, looked straight into my son's blue eyes, and said earnestly, "Son, today we're going to meet your grandparents and Uncle Ryan. Do you remember them?" After that question, with a solemn expression, Daniel shook his head, then replied, "I don't remember Grandma and Grandpa very well. They're the people who never came to my birthday parties, right?" Hearing that question, I felt my heart tighten. Trying to stay calm, I answered gently, "That's right, but we'll see them today. They're also our family." Seeing the doubt in my son's eyes, I wondered if I was doing the right thing by bringing this little boy to a place where he might feel unwelcome. But I also hoped that things would be different during that party. We arrived at the Ocean View Resort when the party had already been going on for a while. As soon as we walked in, we caught the attention of relatives who were at the party. Then came the whispers I couldn't help but overhear. Things like, "Is that Marcus Thompson? I heard he hasn't talked to the family in years, and surprising to see him here." Right then, I felt Daniel grip my hand tighter. Immediately, I bent down, smiled at my son, and whispered, "It's okay, buddy, Dad's here." After I said that, Daniel seemed less shaky. When we stepped into the central area of the party, I spotted my parents standing by the bar, chatting with a group of what looked like old friends. My father, Robert Thompson, looked much older than I saw him last. My mother, Patricia, still maintained her elegant and cold demeanor. When Robert's eyes met mine, I saw no signs of joy or welcome. Patricia didn't even look me straight in the eye. Right after that, I led Sarah and Daniel toward them. Trying to smile, I said, "Dad, Mom, it's been a while." After my greeting, Robert just responded briefly, "Marcus." Patricia looked at Sarah and Daniel with a forced smile and said, "Hello, Sarah. Hello, Daniel. You've grown up so fast." After she said that, the atmosphere became awkward. Nobody said anything more. Just then, Ryan appeared in a bespoke tuxedo with a bright smile. With evident excitement, my younger brother walked over, hugged me, and roared, "Marcus, you made it. It's so great to see you here." After Ryan's hug, with a gentle smile, I patted Ryan on the shoulder and replied, "Congratulations." As that exchange ended, a tall man walked over, probably in his early 60s. Immediately, with confident pride, Ryan introduced us. "Marcus, this is William Sterling, Jessica's father and chairman of Sterling Industries." After the introduction, Ryan turned to William and roared, "This is Marcus, my older brother." Following the introduction, William looked me up and down with an openly judgmental gaze. Then, with a mocking smile, he said loud enough for people around us to hear, "So this is the failure of a brother your parents always mention." I figured he'd stay home, too scared to attend this party. When his words faded, I felt like someone had just thrown cold water in my face. But then, a few seconds later, I remembered that Sterling Industries was exactly the company we were preparing to sign a $7.2 million contract with. Immediately, with a calm smile, I responded, "Nice to meet you, William. I've heard a lot about Sterling Industries." After I spoke, William frowned, seeming displeased with my composed reaction. With an arrogant tone, he asked, "Is that so, and what exactly do you know about my company?" When the sound faded, I could feel the tension rising. At that moment, Sarah placed her hand on my back, a silent gesture of support. Right then, I felt that this party wouldn't go how I had hoped. TechFlow Solutions, the company I founded and run, has developed the most advanced supply chain management software. With high automation capabilities, accurate demand forecasting through AI, and blockchain integration to ensure transparency, our product has attracted the attention of many major corporations. Sterling Industries approached us 6 months ago with their Northeast United States distribution network. Victoria Chen, their chief operating officer, worked directly with my technical team, and we passed 3 rigorous evaluation rounds. The $7.2 million contract represents a crucial turning point to help TechFlow Solutions expand into new markets and increase our stock value. Interestingly, throughout the negotiation process, nobody from Sterling's side knew that I was connected to the Sterling family through Ryan. Victoria only knew me as Marcus Thompson, CEO of TechFlow Solutions, not as the future groom's older brother. Back to the party, standing there facing William Sterling, the man who had just called me a failure, I realized I was in an incredibly ironic situation. The company's chairman, preparing to sign $1 million contract with me, had no idea who I was. At that moment, I could have chosen to tell the truth straight out, but part of me wanted to see where this story would go. And this was probably an opportunity to understand better how my family saw me when I wasn't around. With a calm smile, I just responded to William vaguely, "I work in supply chain management software technology." Sterling Industries is a big name in the industry. After my answer, with a dismissive attitude, William waved his hand and said, "Everyone knows about Sterling Industries. We're the leading distribution company in the Northeast. We've recently been preparing a major contract with some up-and-coming tech company." As soon as I heard those words, I felt a quiet anger. He had called my company some up-and-coming tech company. I knew he was talking about TechFlow Solutions, the company I had built from scratch with over 100 employees and a market value of $50 million. After the uncomfortable greetings with my parents and William, we headed toward the reception desk to confirm our seating. A young woman in the Ocean View Resort's black and white uniform intently looked at a computer screen. With a polite smile, I said, "Hello, we're the Thompson family, Marcus Thompson, Sarah Thompson, and Daniel Thompson." After hearing my introduction with a focused expression, the girl scrolled through the list and then frowned. After searching for a while, with a somewhat confused voice, she said, "I'm sorry, I don't see your name on the main guest list." When her words faded, I felt like someone had thrown cold water in my face for the second time that evening. Trying to stay calm, I asked again, "Could you please double-check? I'm the groom's older brother, Ryan Thompson." The young woman scrolled through the list once more. Right after that, with a regretful tone, she said, "Yes, I see your name here, but on the supplementary list." After she said that, I stood there frozen. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. A few seconds later, the staff member continued with a somewhat awkward voice, "Please follow me this way. Your seating is at the very back on the left side near the gift display area." When the sound faded, I felt my body stiffen as I learned about my seating location, not in the central party area where family and close friends sat, but by the gift display area. At that moment, Sarah squeezed my hand tight, a silent gesture of support and a reminder to stay calm. Still not understanding what was happening, Daniel looked up at me with innocent eyes and asked, "Dad, why are we sitting so far away?" Right after that question, with a forced smile, I whispered, "It's okay, buddy, maybe they're just short on space in the main area." After that, we followed the staff member to a remote corner of the banquet room, where 3 lonely chairs were placed near the wedding gift display area. There were no floral decorations, name cards, and most importantly, no one else sitting at our table. We were completely isolated from the party. As soon as I saw that seating arrangement, I felt anger rising. This wasn't an accident or oversight, it was an intentional act, and indeed this arrangement came from people in my own family. Unable to accept being treated this way, I decided to get to the bottom of the issue. I whispered to Sarah that I'd be right back, then headed toward the reception desk to find a manager. Just as I was about to speak with the manager, I saw my parents and William walking toward us. With a scowling expression, Robert, my father, walked straight up and stopped me. With a low, angry voice, he said, "What do you think you're doing, causing trouble on your brother's special day?" After that question, trying to stay calm, I replied, "I just want to ask about our seating. Why are we by the gift area separated from everyone else?" At that moment, looking straight into my eyes with a cold stare, Robert said through gritted teeth, "If you go in there, you'll embarrass us." After he said that, I felt like someone had just stabbed a knife into my heart. My father, the man I had admired throughout my childhood, was publicly admitting that he was ashamed of me. Right after that, my mother, Patricia, stepped forward with an equally harsh expression. With a quiet but sharp voice, she said, "You'd better just sit wherever you're put and stay there. Just pretend you're not even here." Hearing those words, I felt pain spreading from deep in my heart, not because of the harsh words, but because of the truth that my mother wanted me to disappear on this critical family day. And then William, standing beside them with an undisguised mocking smile, chimed in, "Listen here, Thompson, this is a party for important people, influential guests with status, not a place for people like you who are beneath us." After he said that, I felt both shaken and deeply furious. They weren't just treating me like a stranger. They were publicly humiliating me in front of other people. I didn't argue further. I just quietly walked away. When I returned to Sarah and Daniel, I saw my wife trying to explain to our 6-year-old son why we had to sit separated like this. Sarah looked at me with worried eyes and asked quietly, "What happened, honey?" With a strangely calm voice, I recounted the conversation that had just taken place. Sarah listened in silence, her eyes gradually shifting from worry to anger. Finally, determinedly, she said, "We should just leave. Daniel doesn't need to witness this." At that moment, I felt infinite gratitude toward the woman who had been by my side for the past decade. But instead of agreeing to leave, I shook my head and said, "No, I have another idea." After I said that, Sarah looked at me with curious eyes, but I didn't say anything more. Determined not to let myself and my family be treated like strangers for another minute, I pulled my phone out of my pocket. With trembling fingers, I found the number for James Mitchell, TechFlow Solutions Chief Operating Officer, the partner who had been with me building the company from day one. Looking at Sarah with determined eyes, I said quietly, "I'm not going to sit here and let them look down on us anymore." After 2 rings, James's familiar voice came through. "Marcus, what's going on?" Immediately, with a calm but determined voice, I said, "Prepare the paperwork to cancel the Sterling contract. I won't work with people who treat me like gift table staff." Over the phone, I could hear James's sharp intake of breath from surprise. With a panicked voice, he asked, "Marcus, what happened? We're almost done with everything. This contract is worth $7. 2 million? Cutting him off, I explained briefly, "I'm at my younger brother's engagement party at the Ocean View Resort. The bride's father is William Sterling, and I just discovered they deliberately seated me and my family next to the gift area, separated from everyone else as if we were service staff." After I said that, there was a long silence from James's end. Finally, surprisingly, he exclaimed, "Oh my God, Marcus, I had no idea. But could we possibly separate personal matters from business?" After James's question, with a firm voice, I replied, "No, James, I don't do business with people who look down on others. William Sterling called our company some up-and-coming tech company. TechFlow Solutions has plenty of other options. Notify Sterling immediately and prepare the contract cancellation paperwork. I'll contact you later." When I ended the call, I felt an unusual sense of relief, as if a burden had been lifted from my shoulders. No more having to prove my worth, no more begging for recognition. I smiled at Sarah and Daniel and said, "Let's straighten up our clothes. We're going into the center of the party." After I said that, with a slightly worried look, Sarah asked, "What are you planning to do?" With calm eyes, I replied, "Nothing at all. Just show up as Marcus Thompson." After that, I stood up and adjusted my tie and suit jacket. Sarah also stood up, fixing her dress. Still not fully understanding what was happening, Daniel sensed the serious atmosphere and straightened his shirt on his own. At that moment, I knew this decision would change everything for tonight and our future with the Thompson family. About a minute later, hand in hand, Sarah and I, with Daniel walking between us, headed toward the center of the banquet room. We walked with the confidence of people who knew their worth. As soon as we moved, the guests' eyes turned toward us. With steady steps, we continued toward the center, where Ryan and Jessica stood and chatted with guests. Ryan was the first to notice us. With a confused expression, my younger brother frowned, not understanding why we were there instead of sitting quietly in our assigned seats. Right then, William Sterling, standing next to Ryan, also turned around. When he saw us, he scowled, clearly displeased. With quick steps, William walked toward us, blocking our path, and with a low, angry voice, he said, "I thought you were already assigned seating. Why are you here?" After that question, looking straight into William's eyes calmly, I replied, "That's right, we were assigned to a remote corner next to the gift area as if we were service staff. But I think as the groom's older brother, I deserve to be here more than that. After I said that, William's face turned red with anger. With a voice gritting each word, he threatened, "If you don't return to your seat immediately, I'll call security." After that threat, with a slight smile, I replied, "Go ahead. I'm curious to see how they'll react when you're kicking the groom's brother out of the engagement party. I'm sure the local papers would love the story." When my words faded, I saw William clench his teeth, trying to control his anger. He knew I was right. A scandal like that wouldn't be good for Sterling Industries' image. Just then, Ryan and Jessica approached. With a confused expression, Ryan asked, "Marcus, what's going on? Why aren't you sitting in your assigned seat?" Looking straight at my younger brother, I asked, "Do you know where they seated me and my family?" Ryan, in a remote corner next to the gift area, separated from everyone else. After that question, Ryan's face changed color. With evasive eyes, my younger brother stammered, I mean, I don't know the details." When the sound faded, I understood that my younger brother was lying. Ryan knew everything and had done nothing to stop it. Just then, a group of essential guests approached, clearly attracted by the tense situation unfolding. A middle-aged man in a bespoke Armani suit said, "William, is there a problem?" After that question, with a forced smile, William hurriedly replied, "Nothing at all, Bob, just a small misunderstanding." But Bob, clearly an important figure, had recognized me. With surprised eyes, he looked at me and asked, "Are you Marcus Thompson, CEO of TechFlow Solutions?" Right as the question ended, William froze. He turned to me, eyes wide with shock, and stammered, "CEO of TechFlow Solutions." After that question, with a slight smile, I replied, "That's right, I'm Marcus Thompson, CEO and founder of TechFlow Solutions." After I said that, William looked like lightning struck him. Sterling Industries was preparing to sign a $7.2 million contract with TechFlow Solutions. Now he discovered that the person he had deliberately insulted, the person he called a failure, was the CEO of their potential partner company. Instead of admitting his mistake, William tried to salvage the situation. With a mocking smile, he said, "CEO of TechFlow Solutions. A guy whose own family calls him a failure claiming to be a CEO? How is that possible?" At that moment, I felt Sarah squeeze my hand tight to help me stay calm. With a doubtful voice, William continued, "Or did you eavesdrop on information about our deal to impersonate someone for the show?" When his words faded, the atmosphere around us seemed to freeze. All eyes turned to me, waiting for my reaction. With a calm smile, I said to him, "You can call Victoria Chen, Sterling Industries' Chief Operating Officer. She'll confirm my identity. At the same time, I'm also informing you that the $7.2 million contract between you and me is officially canceled." At that moment, William took out his phone and called immediately. After exchanging a few words with Victoria, his face went pale. Finally, with a trembling voice, William ended the call and turned to me. With a completely changed expression, he said, "I hope you won't let personal matters affect the cooperation between our two companies. We truly value TechFlow Solutions and your technology." After he said that, I could sense the complete change in William's attitude, from contempt to flattery in the blink of an eye. But instead of enjoying that moment, I only felt a deep sadness because I didn't want to be respected for my title or business position. I wanted to be respected as a human being, as Ryan's brother, as Marcus. While William tried to salvage the situation, Jessica, the bride-to-be, stepped forward bewilderedly. She looked from William to me with questioning eyes, then turned to Ryan. With a trembling voice, Jessica asked, "What's going on here? Why is everyone so tense like this?" After that question, I spoke up. "Jessica, you told me to sit far away, that's fine. But do you know they seated me next to the gift table?" Immediately, Jessica froze, her eyes full of confusion. With an unbelieving voice, she asked again, "The gift table? No, I only said to sit you at a separate table because I thought you wanted private space with your little family." Right after that, Jessica met a staff member at the party, requesting to speak with the person who assigned the seating. About 3 minutes later, the seating coordinator from earlier approached. Embarrassedly, she spoke up, "We followed the request from Mr. Robert, Mrs. Patricia, and Mr. William. They asked me to lead him to the position near the gift table." Jessica whipped around to face William when the voice faded, her eyes red with anger and shame. With a trembling voice, she said, "Dad, I didn't request that. Why did you do this?" At that moment, William was cornered, only able to stammer, "Jessica, you have to understand, this is an important party. We can't let anything affect the family's image." After that response, Jessica turned to me with eyes full of regret and said, "Marcus, I'm truly sorry. I didn't know they had done this." After Jessica's apology, with a gentle smile, I replied, "It's okay, Jessica, you're not the one who needs to apologize." When the sound faded, I saw my parents, Robert and Patricia, approaching us, clearly realizing something was wrong. With a frowning face, Robert said, "What's happening here?" Before I could answer, Jessica had already turned to Robert and Patricia with a voice full of indignation. "Uncle Robert, Aunt Patricia, why did you do this? Marcus is your son, Ryan's brother." Caught off guard by Jessica's reaction, Robert and Patricia stood there, not knowing what to say. Finally, with a cold voice, Patricia spoke up, "We only did what was best for the party. Marcus, he doesn't fit the atmosphere here." After that statement, I felt my heart shatter once again. After all these years, after all the success, I still didn't fit in my own mother's eyes. While stunned by the truth that had just been exposed, Ryan finally spoke up with a trembling voice and eyes full of guilt. My younger brother said, "Marcus, I'm sorry." Looking straight into Ryan's eyes, I asked gently, "You knew they arranged it like that, didn't you?" Just as the question ended, Ryan hung his head, not daring to look me in the eye. With a voice so small it was barely audible, my younger brother admitted, "Yes, I knew, but I didn't expect them to go that far. I thought they would seat you at a separate table, not next to the gift table." After that statement, I felt a deep pain, not because of being seated in a terrible position, but because my younger brother had known and done nothing to stop it. With a low but clear voice, I said, "So why didn't you stop them?" At that moment, Ryan stood silent, unable to answer. Finally, regretfully, my younger brother admitted, "I wasn't brave enough. I was afraid Mom and Dad would be disappointed in me." When the voice faded, I understood that this wasn't the first time Ryan had chosen silence. For so many years, my younger brother had witnessed how our parents treated me and never once spoke up to defend me. With calm eyes, I looked straight at Ryan and said, "Silence is also a form of betrayal, Ryan. I don't blame you anymore, but I can't trust you again." After that statement, Ryan seemed to collapse, his shoulders drooping with guilt and shame. Jessica stood beside him, her eyes full of disappointment toward her fiancé. As for William, still trying to salvage the situation, he spoke up, "Marcus, about the contract between Sterling Industries and TechFlow Solutions." But I raised my hand, cutting him off, and said, "We'll talk about that later, William. But I think you understand my position clearly." After that statement, with a pale face, William nodded, understanding that the $7.2 million deal was now seriously threatened. Robert and Patricia stood there, their eyes full of anger and shame. They had been exposed in front of the people they most wanted to impress. At that moment, I knew I had done the right thing by standing up to protect my family. After everything that had happened, there was no reason for us to stay at the party anymore. Everything had been said, every truth had been exposed. There was nothing left to hide, nothing left to pretend. I gently turned to Sarah and said, "Let's go home." With an understanding smile, Sarah nodded and took Daniel's hand. All three of us began to walk away, not looking back, not a word of goodbye. As we passed by William, he hurriedly blocked our path. "Marcus, about the contract," with calm eyes, I said briefly, "I'll contact Victoria tomorrow." After that statement, William nodded, understanding there was nothing he could say to salvage the situation. As we walked past Robert and Patricia, they stood there, eyes full of anger but not daring to speak up. They knew that any more words would only make the situation worse. Right after that, Ryan stepped forward with a face full of regret. He asked me, "Marcus, you won't come to my wedding?" Looking straight into my younger brother's eyes, I replied, "I don't know, Ryan, but don't hope for too much." With that statement, we continued walking, leaving the luxurious banquet hall behind the curious stares and whispered conversations. On the way to the parking lot, Sarah squeezed my hand tightly and said softly, "I'm proud of you, Marcus. We did the right thing." At that moment, looking into my wife's loving eyes, I nodded and replied, "No one can price our self-respect except ourselves." After that, we continued walking silently, each person lost in their thoughts. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The clock showed only 6 a.m., but I was completely awake. Gently getting out of bed, trying not to wake Sarah, I went downstairs to the kitchen and made a cup of coffee. Sitting by the window, looking out at the backyard covered in morning dew, I felt an unusual sense of peace. Around 6:30, my phone rang with a call from Victoria, the COO of Sterling Industries. With an urgent voice, Victoria said immediately, "Marcus, William Sterling has called me 5 times since early morning. He's panicking about the contract. He said something happened at the engagement party last night." After that statement, with a calm voice, I recounted last night's events to Victoria. When I finished the story, there was a long silence from Victoria's end. Finally, with a low voice, she said, "I don't know what to say, Marcus. I'm truly sorry for what happened." Immediately, I replied, "It's not your fault, Victoria. But my decision remains the same. TechFlow Solutions will not collaborate with Sterling Industries." After a brief moment of silence, Victoria sighed softly. When the call ended, I put the phone down and continued enjoying my coffee. 2 weeks after the incident at the Ocean View Resort, I received a text from Ryan. "Can I meet with you to talk?" After some consideration, I agreed to meet my younger brother at a small coffee shop in downtown Boston. When I arrived, Ryan was already sitting there with 2 cups of coffee. When he saw me, my younger brother stood up, his face unable to hide the worry and nervousness. After sitting down across from my younger brother, I asked directly, "What do you want to talk about?" After my question, Ryan looked down at his coffee cup, seemingly searching for the right words. Finally, tremblingly, my younger brother looked up and asked, "How did you endure being looked down upon by Mom and Dad for all these years?" After that question, I was stunned. Of all the things I thought Ryan would say, this wasn't what I expected. Taking a sip of coffee, I thought about my answer. Finally, calmly, I replied, "I won't endure it anymore, Ryan. I let go a long time ago." When I just finished speaking with a low voice, Ryan admitted, "I'm in a similar situation now, Marcus. After the incident at the Ocean View, Mom and Dad have changed. They started demanding more, controlling more, from the wedding to my work, even where we'll live." Hearing those words, I couldn't help but feel sympathy for my younger brother. Ryan, the perfect child, the golden child of the Thompson family, was finally experiencing what I had endured for so many years. I looked straight at Ryan with sincere eyes and said, "You chose your path, Ryan. You chose silence when they mistreated me. Now you have to find your way to face them." After that statement, Ryan hung his head, his eyes full of regret. With a voice so small it was barely audible, my younger brother admitted, "I know and I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm truly sorry for not standing up to defend you." Looking at my younger brother with calm eyes, I said, "I don't blame you anymore." A few seconds after that response, with a trembling voice, my younger brother asked, "So you'll come to my wedding, right?" Thinking momentarily, I sighed and replied, "I don't know, Ryan." Right after that, Ryan took an envelope from his pocket, placed it on the table, and said, "This is a new invitation. Jessica and I have decided to have a smaller wedding only with truly important people. No William, no people from Sterling Industries, and no mom and dad either." After that statement, I looked at my younger brother with surprised eyes. Without letting me ask, Ryan immediately explained, "Jessica and I have thought a lot. We don't want to start our new life with people who don't respect our love and choices. I hope you'll come, Marcus." After that statement, I felt a strange emotion rising. I could see that Ryan was changing, not because of pressure or wanting to please someone, but because he finally understood the value of freedom and self-respect. Holding the invitation, I told Ryan, "I'll think about this." About 30 minutes later, when we parted ways outside the coffee shop, for the first time in many years, I felt a bit of hope for my relationship with my younger brother. At that moment, I felt that this could be the beginning of a new chapter in our brotherhood, a chapter based on mutual respect and understanding instead of unrealistic expectations and pressure. 1 month after the incident at the engagement party, Sarah, Daniel, and I were preparing to attend Ryan's wedding again. On the drive to the Ocean View Resort, I kept worrying that this was all just an act by Ryan and my parents, a way to lure me back and then continue mistreating me. But when we arrived, Ryan had kept his word. My younger brother greeted us at the entrance with a bright smile and a sincere hug. My family's seating that day was proper in the center of the banquet hall, with a table marked Brother Marcus Thompson's family in elegant writing on a placard placed on the table. When I saw our seating, I felt an indescribable emotion rising. It wasn't just a seat but recognition, an apology, and the first step in a healing journey. Just as Ryan had promised, there was no William, Robert, or Patricia. The ceremony was warm and sincere, with only people who mattered to the couple. That day we had more memorable photos. Ryan and I laughing together, Sarah and Jessica chatting intimately, and Daniel playing with other children. Moments that I thought could never happen. When the waltz music played for the newlyweds' first dance, I stood in a corner, watching Ryan and Jessica dance with clear happiness. I also felt happy because my younger brother and sister-in-law had decided their own lives and had chosen love and respect instead of expectations and pressure from others. At that moment, I understood that the path to healing might be long and complex, but it wasn't impossible. Sometimes a small step, like a name placard on a banquet table, could be the beginning of significant changes. My story ends here. Before finishing this story, I want to ask you, the audience who has been listening until these final moments, was I wrong when I decided to stand up and speak out at my younger brother's engagement party to protect my self-respect and my wife and son? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below this story. I want to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and share this story. Your support is the motivation for us to keep trying every day. Goodbye and see you in the following stories.